Istanbul never slept. The streets pulsed with life, motorcycles weaving between taxis, honking horns, the smell of exhaust mixing with roasting chestnuts from corner stalls. Neon signs flickered on narrow alleys, reflecting off puddles from last night's rain. Amir leaned against the wall of his garage, Freedom Motors, watching the city move. Engines revved. Tires screeched. Hearts raced. This was home. Freedom Motors wasn't just a shop, it was a hub for anyone who loved speed, danger, and the thrill of the ride. Custom bikes lined the walls, chrome shining under harsh lights, engines humming quietly like they were waiting for their masters. Amir tuned one of his own bikes, checking the carburetor and spark plugs, listening to the heartbeat of the machine. He knew every sound, every vibration. It was part of him, like blood. Night fell, and the city transformed. The streets became racetracks, and Amir's crew, a mix of young riders and mechanics, gathered at the edge of the Bosphorus, engines idling. Flags waved, headlights cut through darkness, and the smell of burning rubber filled the air. The first race was always the easiest. The second? That's where legends were born. Amir lined up, leather jacket tight, visor down, heart pounding. "Ready to lose?" shouted one of the younger racers. Amir smirked. "You'll eat dust before you even see it." Engines roared. Tires spun. The light turned green. Adrenaline hit like a punch. Bikes leapt forward, leaving streaks of fire in their wake. Narrow streets, sharp corners, and crowded markets blurred past. Every turn demanded precision. Every straightaway screamed for speed. The wind slapped Amir's face, and for a moment, everything else, city, worries, life, disappeared. It was him, the road, and the thrill. Between races, Amir worked his business by day and his passion by night. Tourists and locals came for rentals, street racers came for repairs. Freedom Motors became known not just for bikes, but for the man who ran it. He made connections, planned routes, and studied maps, always looking for the next challenge. But even as he built a reputation in Istanbul, memories of Bolivia haunted him. Salt flats, red lakes, mountains stretching into the clouds, he couldn't stop thinking about them. One evening, after another illegal street race where tires burned and engines screamed, Amir checked his phone. A notification blinked: flight deals to South America. Peru. Mountains, jungles, deserts. Heart racing, he pulled out his wallet, hesitated for a second, and then clicked buy ticket. No hesitation. Adventure waited, and Amir had never been one to say no. The next day, he rode his bike across Istanbul, weaving through traffic, past the Hagia Sophia, the Grand Bazaar, the ferries crossing the Bosphorus. He imagined himself flying over Peruvian deserts, racing through canyons, dodging mudslides and rocks. Every twist of the throttle made his decision feel right. The city blurred behind him. He could hear the engine in his chest, matching the pulse of his dreams. At Freedom Motors, he packed his gear, helmets, gloves, a notebook full of notes from Bolivia, spare parts, and a map he'd drawn of Peru. Every detail mattered. He kissed the handlebars of his bike, whispered a promise to return with new stories, new victories, and maybe scars to prove he had lived fully. That night, Istanbul's skyline glowed, the lights reflected in the Bosphorus like fire on water. Amir sat on his rooftop, helmet by his side, looking at the stars. Engines hummed in the distance, but his mind was far away, already on the roads of Peru, imagining the dust, the mountains, and the jungle trails. Adventure wasn't coming. It was already here. And Amir was ready to race into it. The plane landed in Lima early in the morning. The city was big, noisy, and full of smells, food, dust, and the ocean. Streets were crowded with cars, buses, and motorcycles. People shouted and ran in every direction. Amir stepped out and breathed deeply. He felt the warm sun and cool wind on his face. He had traveled far from Istanbul. He wanted adventure again. He wanted something new and dangerous. Waiting for him near a red jeep was Luca, his friend with white hair. He had worked as a guide in Peru for years and knew the mountains, deserts, and jungles better than anyone. Amir. You are here. Luca shouted, smiling. You look the same, Amir laughed. I guide tourists now, Luca said. But real adventure starts where the maps end. And I know a race that will test you. They drove out of Lima. The road was long and windy. On one side were high mountains, on the other, the ocean. Small villages passed by, stone houses, children waving, dogs running on the road. Farmers worked in fields. Markets sold fruits and colorful clothes. Amir loved every second. The city felt far away. Everything smelled new, earth, flowers, spices, and salt from the ocean. By afternoon, they reached Paracas, a small town near the desert. The sand was orange and hot. They saw bright red buggies being unloaded. Tires were thick and rugged. Engines were loud and ready for speed. Amir's eyes shined. What is this? He asked. It is the desert rally, Luca said. From here to Cusco. Through deserts, mountains, and jungle. Hard and dangerous. But very exciting. Amir smiled. I want to do it. No matter the risk. The next morning, they registered as Team the Nomads. Their buggy was sand-colored, scratched, and strong. The tires were big to hold sand and rocks. The engine growled like a lion ready to attack. They packed water, food, and tools. Amir drove. Luca was the navigator. Together, they studied the map. The race route was long and dangerous. 1. Paracas Desert, endless sand dunes, wind blowing hard. 2. Arequipa Mountains, rocky passes, cliffs on both sides. 3. Andes Trails, narrow paths through green valleys. 4. Sacred valleys near Cusco, rivers, forests, and small villages. 5. Lost city Choqquirao, the finish line, hidden in the jungle. The sun rose. Engines roared. Other buggies lined up. Tires spun, sand flew into the air. The desert came alive with noise and movement. Amir felt excitement in his blood. The wind hit his face. Heart beat fast. Every turn dangerous. Every straight line thrilling. He smiled and shouted to Luca, "Let's do this." They raced through sand dunes, up hills, down slopes. Dust covered their faces. Tires sank, wheels slipped, engines screamed. Every meter was a challenge. They saw other racers fighting for space. Some buggies rolled. Some crashed into dunes. Amir had to focus. One wrong turn, one mistake, and it could end everything. Hours passed. The desert turned into mountains. Trails became narrow. Rocks and mud blocked the road. Rivers crossed the path. Amir drove carefully. Luca shouted instructions, pointing at curves and cliffs. Sometimes the buggy slipped near the edge. Heart pounding, hands tight on the wheel, Amir felt alive. Danger made everything feel stronger. At night, they stopped near a cliff. The sun turned orange and pink. The jungle below was green and alive. Birds flew over rivers. The air smelled of earth and plants. Their buggy was dirty, scratched, and tired, but still working. They made a small fire. Luca cooked simple food, rice and beans. Amir cleaned the engine a little. Sitting near the fire, Amir said, "We almost did not make it today." Luca smiled. "We did. Together. Tomorrow will be harder. The Andes will test us." Amir nodded. He understood. This adventure was not just a race. It was about courage, friendship, and survival. The mountains, deserts, and jungles were alive, and they demanded respect. Amir looked at the stars above the Andes. The sky was clear and endless. His mind remembered Bolivia, the salt flats, the red lakes. Peru was different, wild, unpredictable. But he loved it. His heart beat with excitement. He was ready for whatever the next day would bring. Adventure had only begun. The morning sun burned over the Andes. Amir and Luca sat in their buggy, checking the tires and engine one last time. Dust covered the road, and the mountains cast long shadows. Other teams were preparing too. Engines roared. The wind was cold and sharp. "Ready?" Luca asked, adjusting his gloves. Amir nodded. "Let's go. No stopping now." The race began. Tires spun on dirt and rocks. The path climbed high. Clouds hung low around the peaks. Rocks slid under the buggy. Every turn was dangerous. The ground was steep. One mistake could send them falling into the valley. "Slow down," Luca shouted. "Curve ahead." Amir pushed the pedal but controlled the wheel carefully. The buggy leaned close to the edge. Dust and small stones flew. He held his breath. The mountains were beautiful but cruel. Peaks touched the sky. Green valleys and rivers stretched far below. Hours passed. They passed waterfalls, rivers, and small villages. Children waved. Farmers watched the strange buggies passing like wild animals. Trees grew thick. Birds flew overhead. The jungle smell mixed with engine smoke. Amir felt alive. His heart beat fast. This was adventure. This was real. Suddenly, the buggy hit a big rock. Tires skidded. The suspension broke with a loud crack. Amir shouted, and Luca held tight. "The wheel!" Luca shouted. "We need to fix it." Amir cursed. "I told you to slow down. You said go faster." Luca yelled back. The argument was loud. Dust rose. The jungle around them was quiet except for the river below. Amir grabbed the toolkit. Luca helped. They worked quickly, hands dirty, sweat and mud on their faces. Finally, the buggy was ready. Not perfect, but enough to continue. "Sorry," Amir said. "I didn't mean to yell." "Me too," Luca answered. "Let's finish this." The path became narrower. Rocks and tree roots tried to stop them. Birds screamed. Monkeys jumped from branch to branch. The sun was hot. Every second was dangerous. The buggy bounced, jumped, and skidded. One mistake, one wrong turn, and they could fall hundreds of meters down. But Amir loved it. The wind hit his face. The mountains, jungle, and rivers were wild. He felt freedom. The adrenaline was like fire in his chest. Luca shouted directions. Amir followed. They passed waterfalls, old stone bridges, and abandoned trails. By evening, they reached a cliff above a river. The sun set, orange and red, reflecting in the water. Their buggy was scratched, dirty, and tired. They stopped to drink water. "We survived today," Amir said, looking down. "Yes, but tomorrow will be harder," Luca answered. "The jungle ahead is full of surprises. And some teams are not friendly." Amir nodded. He understood. This race was more than speed. It was about courage, friendship, and trust. Mountains, rivers, and jungle demanded respect. And the adventure was not over. As night came, they camped near the river. Small fire, sounds of wildlife, and the distant roar of the river filled the air. They cleaned the buggy, packed tools, and checked maps. Tomorrow, they would face the jungle, cliffs, and more challenges. But Amir felt alive. He had never felt so ready for anything. Adventure was dangerous, yes. But it was everything he had ever wanted. The morning was hot. The jungle was thick. Trees pressed close to the road. Birds screamed. Monkeys jumped between branches. Amir and Luca drove carefully. The buggy bounced over roots and rocks. Dust and mud covered them. "This part of the race is dangerous," Luca said. "I heard stories about local gangs attacking racers." Amir nodded. "We will be careful." The path became narrow. Cliffs on one side, thick jungle on the other. The river roared below. They passed an old wooden bridge. Suddenly, they saw shadows moving ahead. 3 men appeared. They had dark clothes, and their faces were covered. They blocked the road. "Stop," one shouted. "Give us your money and your buggy." Amir slammed the brakes. Tires skidded on the mud. The buggy stopped just a meter from the edge. He looked at Luca. "Hold on." Amir shouted. The men attacked. One tried to open the door. Amir pushed him back. The buggy rocked dangerously near the cliff. Luca grabbed a stick from the ground to defend himself. Amir's heart beat fast. He knew they could die if they fell. He looked around and saw a small path to the left, hidden by trees. He turned sharply. Tires skidded, mud flew, and one man fell into the bushes. The other 2 tried to follow, but the buggy was too fast and too strong. Amir roared the engine. Luca gasped. "You saved us." Amir laughed, though his heart was still pounding. "We are not dead yet. But let's finish this." The gang disappeared into the jungle. The path became wider. The sun was high. Rivers crossed the road. Rocks tried to stop them. The buggy bounced and shook. Amir and Luca shouted, laughed, and worked together. The fear of the attack made them faster, stronger. Hours passed. The jungle became less thick. Mountains rose ahead. The last checkpoint was near a stone bridge over a fast river. Other racers were there. Some looked tired. Others tried to cheat. But Amir and Luca didn't care. They were alive. They had survived. The finish line appeared on the horizon, the lost city of Choqquequirao. Red stone temples, green forests, and old trails. Amir pushed the buggy to the maximum. Tires slipped, engine roared. Luca shouted directions. Amir followed, heart beating like a drum. They crossed the line. Dust and mud covered them. The buggy was scratched and dirty. Luca laughed and hugged Amir. "We did it." Amir smiled. "We survived, we fought, and we finished. Together." Other racers cheered. The local organizers gave them the trophy. But Amir and Luca didn't care about the prize. They had fought danger, escaped the gang, and finish the toughest race of their lives. That night, they sat near a fire. The jungle was quiet. Stars shone above. The river murmured. Amir looked at Luca. "Sorry about earlier," Amir said. Luca smiled. "Me too. We fought together, we survived together. That is what matters." Amir nodded. Adventure was not only about speed or danger. It was about friendship, courage, and trust. He felt stronger than ever. Peru had tested him. The jungle, the mountains, the rivers, and the gang had tried to stop him. But he had survived. Tomorrow, the roads would call again. But tonight, he was alive. And for the first time in a long while, Amir felt that he was truly free.
Did you like the story? Click like, subscribe to the channel, and write a comment with your ideas for new stories. Thank you for watching and practicing English with me. See you in the next video.